Hey my lovely Facebook buddies, I thought that I would make a video about anxiety. So some of you have the same thing that I do. I'll talk a little bit about mine and then you can talk about yours. And this will be a one-day video which will be deleted by midnight. Don't laugh at my hat because believe me, my hair looks... I got at it again with the scissors. Okay, so I want to talk about it. Some of my anxiety things, I have trouble with driving. I don't really drive on the highway, and I want to, and I stick to familiar routes because I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'll get lost, or I'm afraid I'll mess up and have an accident, or somebody will hit me, or I'll hit them, just, stuff like that. And I've had my license for, I guess, 10 years now, maybe 12, 13, I don't know. So driving causes me anxiety, but I'm fine, sticking to my familiar routes. So familiarity is a blessing and a curse to me. Second, I have breathing problems, which cause anxiety and also are caused by anxiety, and some of it is growing up with smokers. I don't smoke, but I probably have some residual problems from spending my first 20 years with smokers. So sometimes I get out of breath and I get scared and I get nervous. I'm afraid of crowds. I love people, but I don't have a lot of friends, which sucks. And it's true. As lovely as I am, as beautiful and sexy and warm-hearted as I am not hanging out on a weekly basis with girls. I actually have like 2 friends here in my town. So self-consciousness keeps me from making new friends, and also I have trust issues because a lot of people have done me dirty. Like country songs. I mean, I've been hurt by men and women, and trust issues, darling, because I've loved so much and gave so much that it just, you get to a point, like my granny used to say, and she was the most loving person, you just can't fool with people. But I don't want to be like this, and I don't want to be a hermit. So I want to make new friends. And some things about anxiety is you feel like everybody's judging you, and you get nervous, and you repeat the same stupid crap several times when you're talking. And you just keep mumbling, and you just keep sort of like putting your hand in your mouth. Not really putting your hand in your mouth or your foot in your mouth, but you hear yourself running like a broken tape recorder, and that's very embarrassing. So the embarrassing things just make you want to leave a situation. So you're very self-conscious. Some of us have been put on medication for depression and anxiety. And I've been on fluoxetine, which is like Prozac, the generic brand, for like, 10, 15 years, and I still cry almost every day because I'm very sensitive. So I think that pill is like, doesn't really do anything, but I'm afraid to try a new pill because sometimes they make you feel out there. Like I took Zoloft before and I just felt totally scared and spaced out. So I just try to go along as I can. I have an arrhythmia, which causes me to have anxiety because I have PVCs and tachycardia. And PVCs are premature ventricle contractions of your heart. So when you're nervous, you feel a lot of clicks, which used to be very terrifying. You can really just feel click, click, click in your chest, like somebody's got the remote control. And when these first started happening to me, I used to put my hand over my chest, hoping to protect my heart. It was terrifying. And sometimes I still have those, and it upsets me. And then type 2 diabetes came along, which, if you have anxiety, let's throw in some more maladies in there. So then you have to worry about that. And it's just one thing after another. So also have a little bit of agoraphobia, which, nobody will really believe, because I love to run the roads, what little road I have, and I love the malls and everything, but because I'm like a singular unit most of the time, I am at home a lot, which I don't want to be. And I would say 40% agoraphobic in that I'm mostly at home if I'm not shopping. My outings are mostly need-based. They're not social-based. They're rarely social-based, which I want to change around this year. That's one of my goals. So when you're agoraphobic, you don't want to leave the house, and it's because of fear. And I'm not leaving the house because of fear. It's just, where am I going to go? Because the social life is limited, so there's really nowhere to be hanging out at. India, if I lived in India, I'd have a bigger social life. So part of me wishes I lived in India. But in India, that brings even more anxiety, because you're being followed by crowds of people wanting money from you because you're a foreigner. So every place has its own little anxiety garden to watch grow. How do I deal with my anxiety? The panic attacks have lessened, so I guess a lot of that has to do with the fluoxetine or Prozac, or just getting used to having clicking heartbeats and fast heartbeats, and trusting more in God or the greater power, It was very terrifying at first when you have younger children and you're having a panic attack and you have to drag the poor things out of Friendlies with their little French fries in their hands because you're having an episode. You're hyperventilating. The hyperventilating can begin with a scary thought. A scary thought could have began because you had a skipped heartbeat. The skipped heartbeat could have been caused by dehydration or fatigue. And then the panic sets in, and then you're dragging 3 little girls out of, like I said, a restaurant, or they're in the house, a McDonald's, the little gym house, and they're jumping on those little colored balls, and they're having fun, and you're like, let's get out, we gotta go, come on. And they just don't understand. So when you have anxiety and panic, and your kids are being affected by this, it's hard on little kids. And then you watch your 3-year-old, and she's like, I have palpitations. And they're just imitating you, And then sometimes as they get older and they become teenagers, they begin to mock your anxiety, until one day they start to have a panic attack themselves, and they're like, Mom, now I know what it was like. I don't want this. So that's just a little bit inside story of my anxiety. And it didn't just start when I was married and all that stuff. It started, I guess, even in childhood. But I had an episode when I was 21 or so that the college was calling me about financial aid. And I just had a meltdown and didn't want to talk to them. And my granny was like, you need to talk to them. You need to get on the phone and talk to them and see how much money you're going to get to go to school. And I guess I was just afraid that I wasn't going to get financial aid because we were poor. And I just felt like I wasn't going gonna go to the university, and I had a major meltdown and a panic attack. And I guess that's one of my first panic attacks, and that was even before they found out I had an arrhythmia. So isn't that interesting? So that's just a little inside story about my anxiety, and nowadays it's a little bit better. I still have it. It's mostly brought on by a little bit about the breathing sometimes, because I tend to hyperventilate, and when you have a cold, you know, crowds definitely turn me into a mouse wanting to run into a hole. The theater is a struggle when it's crowded, or the mall is a struggle when it's crowded, and my head starts to swim, and I don't like being enclosed in the plane. That freaks me out, but you don't visually see me freaking out, but I'm taking something, Benadryl or something, which doesn't really even help. So that's just a little bit about my anxiety, and I'm not ashamed of it. It's part of who I am. And did you know that some of the most intelligent, creative people are the ones having the panic attacks, darling? So you'll see us in the emergency room. God bless you. Bye.